If tangent of theta is equal to 3 and cosine of theta is negative, find the other 5 trig ratios. All right, so the first thing we should do is probably draw this out. Now you don't need to, but it always helps, right? Anytime we're doing trig, it always helps, okay? Now let's take a look, right? We know that tangent of theta is equal to 3 and cosine of theta is negative. So which quadrant is this angle or this terminal side going to be in? Well, if cosine is negative, that means we're either in quadrant 2 or 3. But tangent is positive, which means that we must be here, right? We must be in quadrant 3 here. So now I'm just going to eyeball this guy, right? Let's call this theta, right? This is the angle, which is theta. We know that tangent of theta is equal to 3, right? So tangent of theta, which we know is y over x, is equal to 3. Now here's where you're going to be a little bit careful, right? We don't necessarily know if this r, right, if this hypotenuse of this triangle is equal to 1 or not. We can make it equal to 1 or not, but the idea is that all the sides must be proportional, right, if we're thinking about similar triangles. Okay, the next thing is y over x, right? So we can put this as y over 1, because 3 is a whole number whose denominator is 1. So that means that this length is 3, and this length here is 1, right? The y value is 3, the x value is 1, but wait a minute, we are in quadrant 3, right? So remember, as a lengths are always positive, but as a coordinate, right? As a coordinate, this should be the coordinate -1, -3. Okay, so very important to make sure you distinguish between lengths and coordinates. Now, for the most part, we usually just keep it negative, if it is, right? Okay, so we'll keep these as negatives. Now, what is this? R, right? This is not equal to 1. Right? To find this length, we can always just use the Pythagorean Theorem. So we got -1 squared plus -3 squared is equal to r squared. Right? 1 plus 9 is equal to 10. So that means that r is equal to radical 10. Now, remember, r is always positive, right? So we'll just keep that as that positive radical 10. Right, so we know that tangent ended up with a positive result, which is 3. Cosine of theta, okay, is x over r. Remember, it's not just equal to x. It's not just equal to -1 here, right? It's -1 over radical 10. And sine of theta is y over r, right? So we end up with -3 over radical 10. Now, we do need to rationalize, right? So we get negative rad 10 over 10 here. And we get -3 radical 10 over 10 for this guy. Now that we have the sine, cosine, and tangent, we can just get the reciprocals, right? Cotangent is just the reciprocal of 3 over 1, which is 1 over 3, right? Secant, now you notice that I can just take the reciprocal of this guy, right? So instead of -1 over radical 10, just flip this over, we get negative radical 10 over 1. And similarly for cosecant, we'll just take the reciprocal of this guy, we'll just flip that over, negative radical 10 over 3.